Okay, so as we get into our chapter on percents, I want to introduce something to you guys. Probably, more than likely, in elementary school, you guys at some point did percent problems. And a lot of the percent problems we did may have looked like this. 40% of 60. And then probably what you did is you changed this to a decimal, that to multiplication, and multiplied. Okay? That's kind of a very common thing to do in elementary school. Now here's the issue. That routine there, unfortunately, doesn't work 100% of the time because the makers of the books, pretty much, because that was your elementary school standard, it gave you specific problems where you could use that every single time and it would work. Okay, or almost every time. Okay? However, I'm about to show you guys over the next couple of days problems that are going to pop up that you cannot solve it that way. And you're going to need to use maybe a little more challenging, but something that works 100% of the time, which is, of course, what's important. All right, so one of those strategies is something called a percent proportion. All right, so that is just our one word today. Phrase is percent proportion, everyone. Percent proportion. All right, so here's the definition in the book. Part over a whole, and you can write this as a fraction. It's just the way it's written here is a slash, but that is a fraction line. All right, numerator to denominator. So part over a whole equals percent over 100. Something that you'll see sometimes is it written like this. A over B is equal to P over 100. Now in your little box over to the side, I actually have one other thing I want to show you. One other percent proportion that people will hear about, and this will only work sometimes when the problems are in like phrase form. And go ahead and write this down. Is over of equals percent over 100. Now, there are some, like, I don't want to call them computation problems, but they are very similar in a way that where you can use this. This is the best right here. Okay? This gives meaning to how we're going to set up our problems. However, the thing is kind of like when you see the word product, or you see the word, even like we talked about, of being multiplication sometimes. Well, what they realize is that the part being on top, a key word that shows the part is the word is. A key word that shows the whole amount is the word of. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but I'm going to show you guys in a bit what problems that this will work on. This, however, works on all problems, including word problems that we'll see. All right? So here's what I would like you guys to do. That's the only one. Go ahead and grab your book, grab a piece of paper, and let's flip over to book page 252. 252. So once you get your paper, right, get your name up at the top. You want to put your assignment number, book page, problems you'll need to do. And then whenever you're ready, eyes are up here ready to go. And we'll get things moving. Okay, looks like most of you guys are ready. Here we go. So take a look at page 252. Here's what number 9 says, right? It says 16 is 80% of what number? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. For today, go up to, well, you can go up to the top of your paper and do step 1 and put a little star by it. Okay, because this is the only time that you'll have to write this down. This is just a reference point, something for you to look back on to help you set your proportions up. And here it is. See how this is just like it's like a phrase question. It's not a legit word problem where there's like characters in it or there's something happening. It's just a phrase like this with a question mark. Okay? These are the times where you can use this proportion here. Is over of equals percent over 100. Okay? I put a star by step 1 because this is the only time that you'll need to write this down. You don't have to write it every single time. You will write it every single time for the most part, but not this exact thing. All right? So here's what we're going to do next. All right? Step 2 is you're going to identify your is, your of, and your percent. Now, first of all, here is our percent, right? Nice and easy. There's 80%. Now, here is your word is. Well, take a look at the number connected with the word is. 16. Now, the word of, being the key word of showing the whole, well, that, of course, is what we need to find out. So, when it comes to step 3, we're going to use this to set up our proportion correctly. So here we go. Okay, is over of. Is 16. The of, I don't know. Our unknown, we're going to use the variable x. And then we're going to make it equal to the percent over 100. So 100 is always, it's a constant. It's always there. It never changes. In every single problem, it's 100. The percent is just the 80. Now, let's just reflect on this really quickly. 16 over x, okay, is over of, part over a whole, that's what that is, equals, look at guys, 80 over 100. I'm just pointing this out in case you didn't notice. 80 over 100 is just 80% written like a fraction. That's all it is. It's proportional to that, so that's why we write it like that. Okay? Now, step 4. I want you to put a double star next to step 4. And the reason is because when I teach this every year, people don't like doing step 4. They do step 3 and they like to give the answer. You have to do step 4 to be able to show your work. Okay? This isn't only good for this, but it's good for getting you guys ready for the second semester. All right, here we go. And I think we've talked about this in here already anyway. Here we go. Remember, to solve this, we're going to use cross products. Now, yes, the x is there. That's just connecting the related numbers for the products, but that is not going to make me happy. Okay? As a matter of fact, I don't really care much about the x as long as you write the equation that comes from the x. That's what I care about more. So here we go. We have, remember, 16 times 100 is equal to the 80 times the x. Okay? We can call this step 5, which is just as important as step 4, and that is we're gonna simplify and solve. So here we go. 16 times 100 is 1600. 80 times x is 80x. And then we need to find out what x is, right? So it's being multiplied with 80, so we do the inverse. We divide by 80 there, and we divide by 80 here. Now, most of us probably can do that in our head. If you don't want to, you don't have to. 1600 divided by 80 equals 20. So, ladies and gentlemen, our answer, the whole, is 20. 16 is 80% of 20. All right, questions? No, I mean, you don't have to use x as the variable. You know, you don't want the is over of. You really don't want to. You could use w for whole if you want, part over a whole. But sometimes when you use p for part, people get that confused with p for percent, which might confuse you. If you use o for of down here, it's going to look like a 0, so it might confuse you too. So that's why x is always x doesn't look like any number we know, right? So it looks like a multiplication sign, but that's why we start getting rid of that kind of multiplication sign at the next level. So, so you don't. I'm not too picky about the x, but it is one where you're not going to confuse yourself. Okay.
So can we just put 20 equals x, or do we put 16 is 80% of 20?
Oh no, this is totally fine. You talk about your final answer? Yeah. Good question. Nope, that's okay. 20 equals x, or x equals 20 if you want to put the variable on the left side. Okay, any other questions before I let you guys try one? All right, here we go. Problem on your homework, 253, problem number 23. Problem number 23. Okay, I'll check with you guys in just a bit. Go. Guys, if you forgot to check out a calculator for right now, you're going to need to just do the long division or long multiplication. Okay, remember, check those out at the start of class. That's our routine in here to make things run smoothly. Who needs more time? Okay, check with you guys in just a bit. Okay, checking in. How many of you still need some more time? Okay, about 15, 20 more seconds, and then we're going to share. Okay, go ahead and turn your neighbor 30 seconds. Do me a favor, you can share your answer, but make sure you guys share your equation as well. All right, 30 seconds, go.
I got 30 equals x. You put 12 over x equals 40 over
100. Okay, here we go. Problem number 23, right, said 12 is 40% of what number? So actually the way it's worded is very much like the other one, right? Here's our percent, here's our is, our of is what we're trying to figure out. So when I go ahead and I just did, of course, step 1 we don't have to do, it's already up here. Step 2 I just did. Step 3, right, is I'm going to write the proportion. The is over the of, which I don't know, so I'll put 12 over x equals, and the percent is 40, so 40 over 100. use my cross products. Those two are equal to those two multiplied together. So 12 times 100 is equal to 40 times x. And I go ahead and start simplifying and solving. So 1200 equals 40x. Divide both sides by 40. And we get x is equal to what, guys? 30. All right. Questions?
Is it okay if we do x equals 30 as well?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wait. Is it okay if you like put x before 30? If that's
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at another one. Let's take a look on go back to page 252. Let's take a look at problem number 5. Okay, so on this one, it says problem number 5, it says, what percent of 2 is 8? Okay, worded a little differently. All right, so steps are actually just the same. So step 1, right, is already written. Step 2, identify. Now, some of us may be confused here because look at, you have is right in smack dab in the middle, right, of between 2 and 8. Well, it's actually process of elimination. Here's what I'm talking about. The of is with the 2, right? 2 is next to the of, bless you. That leaves 8 with the is. The percent is what we don't know. That's why they're asking the question, what percent? So, I'm going to go ahead and go on and write this. So, is over of, so 8 over 2 equals the percent I don't know. It's x over 100. So, step 4, I'm going to go ahead and write my equation. So, 8 times 100 is equal to 2 times x. Thank you, those of you who are writing this down. I'm kind of a little bothered by looking up, and half the class are just looking at me instead of writing their notes down. Okay, now I go ahead and simplify and solve. So 8 times 100 is 800 equals 2x. I divide both sides by 2, and that is mental math. X equals 400. Now, listen carefully. This is the main reason why I wanted to do this. There is a special step on a problem like this. Ladies and gentlemen, the x is the percent. We need to put the units. So, it's not 400, it's 400%. What percent of 2 is 8? 400% of 2 is 8. Okay? Questions on that one? Any others?
Same thing with the word problems.
We're not there yet. We're working that way. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead then, and I want you guys to try out problem number 33. 33. All right, go. Okay, how many of you still need more time on that one? All right. All of the non-word problems you guys can get started on if you finish early before everyone else right now. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop you guys. Okay, let's take a look really quickly at number 33. Check your work. All right, number 33. I'm sorry, my fault. I'm still on number 5. Paper moved down on me. No, I'm sorry, we are on number 33, right? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Number 33 is 45 is what percent of 15? So, is over of. You should have had 45 over 15 equals x over 100. We had 45 times 100 equals 15 times x, which gives us 4,500 equals 15x. I go ahead, divide both sides by 15. I get x equals, and then 4,500 divided by 15 equals 300. Okay, questions about that? Okay, eyes up here. We have one more to do. Let's take a look at problem number 12. It says an Aztec salad gets 28 of its calories from protein. If this is 20% of the total number of calories, how many calories does the salad have? Ladies and gentlemen, this is step 1 on this one. Part over whole equals percent over 100. So, this is the only difference. You have to identify what the part and what the whole is. So 20% is on top. Okay, percent over 100. However, we need to take a look. It says it gets 28% or 28 of its calories from protein. 20% of the total number of calories. It says how many calories does the salad have? Okay? It says if this is 20% of the total number of calories, how many calories does a salad have? Ladies and gentlemen, the total is the part we don't know. 28 is the part. Okay? 28 out of the protein. But that's not all. That's not the total. Total is another word, of course, for saying whole. So, I set this up. All right? Steps are exactly the same. So, 28 times 100 equals 20 times x. I simplify both sides. 2800 equals 20x. And I divide both sides by 20. And of course, we get 2800. I was going to say it out loud, but by a couple of people, I could tell that we need to use the calculator. 140. Now, listen carefully. If this is 20% of the total number of calories, how many calories does it have? Make sure you put your units. 140 calories.